Hey guys, 29 Marine here with another Marine Corps knowledge for you. This week, or this video, I have Marine Corps General Orders, as I'm highlighting there. These are your bread and butter, especially in boot camp. You have to know these. They can be difficult to remember, or at least the proper order. So you need to drill this over and over and over again until you can literally just say it without even thinking. You have to know these whenever you do fire watch in boot camp. Your drill instructors will question you. You have to know them for the different exams in boot camp. You have to know them on the crucible. You have to know them everywhere, and then you have to know them in the fleet as well. Not as much, but you will be quizzed on them. So let's do it. As you can see, there's 11 of them, 11 official ones anyway. They are as follows. The first one is take charge of this post and all government property in view, and that's pretty self-explanatory. I think whatever post you have, you are responsible for that, and any military or government property that you can possibly see is technically your responsibility. So just know that. And I'm sorry if you can hear snoring in the background. It's my pug. He is sleeping by my feet. Number 2, walk my post in a military manner, keeping always on the alert and observing everything that takes place within sight or hearing. Again, pretty self-explanatory. What this part means here, walk my post in a military manner, means you walk, keep your back straight, you look professional, you're not slouching, dragging your rifle on the ground, just stupid shit. Keep always on the alert, that's pretty obvious, and observe everything that is to be observed within sight or hearing. Number 3, report all violations of orders I'm instructed to enforce. So, I mean, that again is pretty self-explanatory, but like, say for example you're in boot camp and you're on fire watch, and obviously nobody's supposed to be getting up or leaving the barracks. No recruits. Like, drill instructors can do whatever they want as far as you're concerned, but the recruits have to stay there. And so if you see in the middle of the night, you see somebody getting up and leaving, you're supposed to notify your drill instructors immediately. Okay, number 4, to repeat all calls from posts more distant from the guardhouse than my own. So this pertains in situations where, say, you might not have radios for whatever reason. Like in boot camp, you won't have radios. Or maybe you have a line of posts in Afghanistan, and the hills and everything else in the mountains prevent just good radio communications. So if you hear a radio call from a post farther out than your own, and you know that chances are their call isn't making it back to the command post, then you need to relay that and just pass along the line until the people in charge get the word. And that's what that means. Same thing in boot camp, but you'll probably be yelling to each other if something happens. Quit my post only when properly relieved. Number 5. This is a big one. People assume, like, so say you have posts from midnight to 04, which is 4 in the morning. They think, a lot of people think when they initially join just the military in general, that once 4 o'clock hits, they can go to bed, or they can, do whatever it is they're going to do. But that's not the case. If your relief doesn't get there for whatever reason, you have to stay on post. There's no way around it. You have to stay there. If not, you're wrong, and you can get in a lot of trouble. This is, like, in boot camp, like, you'll get yelled at certainly, but it's not the end of the world. If you try to do this in Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever the hell the war is at the time, then there's major trouble. Because if you leave, say if you had the midnight to 02 shift, if you leave at 2 o'clock and your relief isn't there because someone didn't wake them up or whatever the case is, and you guys get attacked through your post and you weren't there to stop it or to notify people, then you're done. I hate to be you. Number 6, to receive, obey, and pass on to the sentry who relieves me all orders from the commanding officer, officer of the day, officers, and non-commissioned officers of the guard only. So this a little more complex, I guess, but it's essentially you're going to have your commanding officer, so whoever your commanding officer is. Officer of the day is the junior officers rotate, who is, and sometimes the staff NCOs will rotate who's the officer of the day. So, like, this isn't so much a matter for boot camp, when this will pertain to you, this part of it, the officer of the day, but it will when you get to the fleet, because you're going to have battalion duty, and there's a battalion duty officer, which is the officer of the day, and it's either a staff NCO or like a lieutenant. And they do that for a 24-hour post, and then someone else does it the next day, so on and so forth. And so you'll be taking orders from the commanding officer, the officer of the day, which whoever that is for that day, other officers, and then non-commissioned officers of the guard only. And that's important. So, in this, let's see. So to pass on to the sentry who relieves me. So whenever your person gets there, you have to pass on all orders from these people, and these people only. So if you get an officer from another unit who you know is not in your chain of command, and they try and tell you to do something, or they tell you to tell the next your relief to do something, that's a no-go until you can get it verified. If they say, oh, well, your captain said, approve this or some shit like that, you'd be like, you just gotta tell them, hey, sir, that's great. With all due respect, I'll take note of it, but I have to verify it through him before I can implement that order. And either you do that, or if it's to switch out with your relief, make sure they know that and that they do it. That's very important. You don't want to get confused orders and mix signals because the people in charge of you said one thing, but someone else, another officer, told you another thing. That's just no good. And you have to follow that. So just know that. Number 7, taught to no one except in the line of duty. This is basically to prevent bullshitting with your friends. It'll happen, especially in the fleet, but you have to learn when to draw the line. In boot camp especially, you don't say a damn word to anybody because your drill instructors are sneaky and they'll catch you. But basically, you only talk to people that essentially you have official business with while you're on post. You don't chat with your friends. You don't talk shit with people. You only talk to people that have business in your area that you're currently watching. And that's it. Number 8, give the alarm in case of fire or disorder. Pretty simple. If there's in the fire part, that's why it's called fire watch initially, because apparently back in the day things caught on fire a lot easier. Obviously, if there's a fire, you're going to wake everyone up. If you're in, no matter where you are, you can wake everyone up, get them somewhere safe. Disorder is a fight, say in the barracks. When you're on post, this applies to you getting shot at. You seeing somebody digging a hole to place an IED. 300-400 meters out, you let your command know, and they'll send someone out there, or they'll tell you to shoot them. It depends on your rules of engagement, and that's not for me to tell you what to do in that regard. But so anything out of the ordinary, essentially, you give the alarm. Number 9, to call the corporal of the guard in any case not covered by instructions. So when you're in boot camp, you really don't have a corporal of the guard because there's no corporals. But when you're deployed, you're going to have a corporal of the guard for the night, which means that chances are they're going to be asleep, but you can have somebody wake them up and ask them if there's something that you're not sure about. If there's some sort of situation that you just don't know, you're not sure how to respond to it, you get them and they'll clarify. If they don't know, they'll go to the sergeant of the guard, and then if he doesn't know, he'll carry out the chain. Number 10, to salute all officers in colors and standards not cased. So obviously salute all officers, even if they're not in uniform and they're an officer, you salute them because you're in uniform. All colors, which is all American flags. And standard is not case. So not case is basically if they're not, what's the term? I'm blanking out. If they're not like put away, if they're not wrapped up, or they're not, in some sort of container or something where they're not completely unfurled or something. Pretty simple. Chances are you'll never run into this aspect of it. Officers, you will when you're deployed, especially in a combat zone. You will not. Say again, you will not salute your officers, unless you're like in Kuwait or something. But even then, or I think a lot of guys stopped in Turkey, I believe, on the way. But either way, chances are they're going to tell you not to salute them because it makes them targets, which is bad juju. So yeah, and you'll never really find colors just randomly going around. If you're back in the States, or you're in Okinawa, or just like Japan in general, or on a Marine Corps base in a relatively friendly country, then you'll salute colors like in the morning when they do when they call colors out and you have to stand at attention and salute. Then sure, you fall into that. But everything else you're not going to find. Just flags wandering around everywhere. Number 11, be especially watchful at night and during the time for challenging, to challenge all persons on or near my post, and to allow no one to pass without proper authority. This one is probably one of the biggest rules here. I mean, this part, be especially watchful at night. That's obvious. No shit. It's nighttime. You need to be paying attention. You can't fall asleep. Don't be an idiot. And during the time for challenging. So this could be if there's, I don't know, something crazy like you suspect that someone's infiltrated your terps. Your terps are your interpreters, guys that, speak the language, whatever country you're in, and they translate it for you. It's possible, and there's been times when the interpreters are bad, and they're in your unit, and your unit, for whatever reason, somehow got word of that. You have to be very specific, and you have to challenge everybody, which extends into this. All persons on or near my post. Especially at night, when you really probably won't be able to see too well. I mean, unless you have MVGs, but even in a lot of times you won't have MVGs, which sucks dick, but, that's life. And you hear a noise, you need to have your weapon up, pointed at the noise, and you need to be very blunt and very challenging, and you need to tell them, halt, who goes there, and you need to figure out who it is. Obviously, don't shoot them unless they're a bad guy, and you can confirm that, but you need to challenge everybody, even if they're coming up from behind you, like from where like your hooches, your tents and stuff should be. You challenge them. I mean, chances are it's the corporal of the guard, maybe your CO, just going around saying what's up to everybody, but you need to challenge them. If you don't, you'll get in trouble. And if you don't, chances are, if you're in a combat zone, you could get yourself killed or get somebody else killed. And the last part, to allow no one to pass without proper authority. So you're going to be given, number 6 here, the person who you relieve should be giving you all orders, let you know who's allowed to pass, if there's specific or special orders for that. And if they don't have proper authority, they can't pass. They just can't. A lot of the times at night, especially, you're going to have challenge words, which basically, if you've seen Band of Brothers, at one point they use flash, and then the people, like, if you see them first, you're going to yell out flash, and then they got to respond with thunder, or whatever it is for your unit, and if they don't have that, if they don't know it for whatever reason, chances are your ROEs are going to say to shoot them, but an ROE is rules of engagement, but once again, make sure you know your ROEs for that. But you're not allowed to anybody pass. This includes the commandant. If you can't verify who he is, he could say, I'm the commandant of the Marine Corps. You're like, yeah, well, good for you, but until I know that for sure, it's not happening. And you're probably going to be pretty embarrassed later if you stop the commandant, but you'll do your job, and the commandant and any officer worth their salt will tell you good job for stopping him, because that's what you're supposed to do. But yeah, these are very important. You need to know them by heart. And I would definitely just take these. You can Google them. There's sites that have these listed. If you don't want to sit and look at YouTube, or if you want to get a copy you can print out or something, I recommend doing that. I recommend reading them over and over and over and over, because even if you don't join the Marine Corps, you join another branch, theirs are going to be very similar to this. There's differences, certainly, but it's going to be similar, and regardless of which branch, you have to know them. So, yeah, I will got some ideas for some more videos for Marine Corps knowledge-wise that I'm going to be working on, and I'll let you guys know once. I'll post it once I get some of those videos filmed. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I will see you guys next time. Semper Fi.